Hey, this is Clint, delivering fresh Photoshop content to you on a weekly basis. Today, we're going to be talking about the newest features of Photoshop 2021. We're going to be diving into what I think is the top 10 most noteworthy changes of Adobe's latest update. Also, this video has been segmented into timestamps. Simply go to the description below and you'll see a link for each of the tools we're going to be talking about today. Let's get started. So first and foremost, I think is probably the most stellar update to date. I mean, there's been such a huge buzz about it, and I'm sure you've heard about it too. It's Photoshop's neural filters. So today I want to show you my top 3 neural filters that I think are useful across the board. So to access the neural filters, we're going to go up to the filter menu here, and it's right down here. So you can see here as it pops up, there are 2 different categories here. The normal ones, which are still in development, of course, and then also the beta filters as well. So I want to jump right in here to this first option, skin smoothing. Go ahead and make sure that is clicked, and then we have 2 different sliders here. You can see here that as I play around, let me zoom in a little bit so we can see what's going on here. Now we could say that already his skin is pretty smooth, but let's see as I adjust the smoothness factor here. Great, that's looking really good. You can blur it more or less. I don't play around with the blur too much because then it starts looking a little surreal or a little fake. Our skin really isn't that smooth, right? We're trying to make things more realistic and kind of eliminate distractions, right? Not make a perfect Barbie doll or a perfect Ken doll face, right? So that looks pretty good on my skin smoothing right there. Again, just 2 simple sliders. I'm gonna head now down to the beta filters and hit up the smart portrait filter. Look at this, he doesn't even have a smile going on, just kind of that flat smile. But if I can make him happy here and give him a little boost, look at that, now he's a happy Dan. There's some other crazy things in here, like I love playing with the head direction. It's not really applicable in this instance, but what I've found helpful is, say you're taking family photos and you've got the one person who just like looks at the second person there who's taking a picture and is not looking at your camera. This is a great tool for flipping that to the left or to the right. Okay, I went to the right here a little bit. And then I'd also play with the gaze to also match the way his head is moving. Oh, one thing to note is that all of these edits are processed in the cloud. You can see that going on right here in the top of the filters, meaning that it's handled on Adobe's servers. So depending on your server speed and your internet speed, it might take a little while to make these adjustments, but that's okay. Now, I don't know why it actually changed his hair. It made him look a little bit older. I don't know if you noticed that. Something's a little bit wonky up here, which you can actually go ahead and fix simply by adding a layer mask on your layer and then painting away to kind of reveal what was going on behind it. But nonetheless, I think that's a super awesome result, and it's just mind-boggling to me every time I work in these filters. All right, moving on to one of my favorite other filters is the possibility to colorize a black and white photo. All right, so again, it's down here in beta, colorize right here. So wow, that actually did a pretty decent job. Yeah, it misses hands, so it can be hit or miss. It still is in beta development, so you'll get different results depending on what picture you use, but nonetheless, this feature is groundbreaking and I'm excited to see where it goes. Number 2 is the availability to replace the sky. It is now just as easy as one click. Check this out. Edit menu. About halfway down here at Sky Replacement, it's going to go ahead and select a preset here based off of the menu here. You can actually go ahead and change what sky you'd actually like to be in your background. Okay, there's lots of options here: daytime, nighttime, sunset time, dawn. You can even upload your own. But you can see here with the first choice, that has done a phenomenal job of itself. I'm actually going to go ahead and leave that because this picture was actually taking in the midday at high noon. And the fact that I can pull off a sunsetty sky is just amazing. If you see that the light of your subject is on one side and the light of the sky is on another, that's okay. Simply flip the sky. And again, we can match those tones to make it a more believable picture. I am already amazed by the result of this. This has eliminated so much time on my end without having to clip around him and find the horizon and all these trees over here on the right hand side, this alone I would already be satisfied with. But let's dive into a little bit of the possibilities here. What I love too is that it also adds a colorized filter over your subject or over the rest of the photo to try and blend more with the tones of the sky. So if you head down here to the foreground adjustments, you can change the color adjustment. So I'm going to actually increase mine a lot here so that my foreground matches that sky. Because again, I'm going from high noon to more of a sunsetty feel. A little bit more. Nice. And then of course you can change the lighting. Do you want it more contrasty or do you want it more subtle? Let's see what happens when I go up a little bit. Okay, that darkened him, and if I go this way, that lightened him. Great. And again, I'm satisfied with the result. It's pretty believable as it comes around his head and his body. So I'm going to output to new layers, because even after the fact you've done that, you can see here it puts it all on its own layers. And you can further increase your adjustability. So again, here's the foreground colors. You can come in here and again, like a curves layer, and adjust the colors even more so. Thank you, Adobe, for saving me so much time. I love this feature. Let's move on to number 3. Number 3 is the Content Aware Tracing tool. Now, in the past, if you wanted to trace something in preparation for clipping it out, you had like 3 or 4 tools available to you. Either the lasso tools, the pen tool, or some combination of the wand or the quick selection tool. But now Adobe has added another tool, and it's located right here. Mine was in this extra, but sometimes it is located in your pen tool drop-down box. So first you need to tell Photoshop and define the edges of your subject. So first you need to go up here to the Detail Scrubby slider, and just keep moving it to the right until you see the blue lines appear on the outside edges of your subject. Right there looks pretty decent for me. I'm probably in good shape because this is already on a solid white background. But as I zoom in here, now that the edges are defined, as I hover over the edges you can see the blue lines appear. Simply give it a click and bada bing, bada boom, it adds a line. If I want to add more to my selection, we just shift click our way around the lines. If you get some weird lines going on into your subject, like I have here going up the beak, be sure to have on auto trim. This will get rid of those weird overlapping lines, just like that, as you continue around through your subject. Now, it's not perfect. Again, this is just an algorithm trying to decide for you where the edges are. You may have to go in and adjust your line, but still, this is a huge time saver to at least define the edge of my subject first, and then maybe go in with 2 or 3 minor adjustments. From there, you simply make your path and then clip out your subject like normal. Number 4 is yet again another content-aware tool. In the past, when we've wanted to remove distracting elements, such as a photo bomber, or in this case, in this picture, I want to remove all of these rivets, you would have to select them, maybe select multiple, right-click inside the selection, and then go through the fill command to then content aware the fill. Adobe has found it so popular they ended up just adding it straight to this menu. So here, content aware fill. What's nice is that now they'll give you a preview of it right here in this box. That looks good to me. I'm just going to simply click OK, deselect, and that looks really good. Number 5 is the integration of the Discover panel. Let's say you're working on an image, and in this instance, I may think it's a little too bright, but I forget where that tool is. Simply go up to the Help menu, click on Photoshop Help, and up pops the Discover panel. Up here, right in the search bar, I would type in, let's say, brightness. And right down here, it gives me different options based off of that adjustment. So do I want to maybe increase the levels? Do I want to add a curves adjustment? Do I want to add brightness and contrast? As you hover over each of those elements, it gives you a little quick tooltip there in the blue, to which you could say, okay, image adjustments, brightness, color, okay, great, and you can follow along. Or just simply click right here in the Discover panel. Okay, then it leads you right to your edit and make it accordingly. Also, what I like about this panel is as you scroll down here, First off, in the suggestions, it's trying to figure out what's going on in the photo and give me helpful suggestions based off what it thinks I might be doing. So right here, since it sees that I'm working on a portrait, it might think that I want to enhance the image. I'm going to give that a click, and just with a quick click of some buttons, I can enhance it. Click apply. Very nice. Wow, I love the way that turned out. Easy as one button. Also in the Discover panel, you can look up how-tos. Let's say in this instance, I wanted to swap her face with an even better one from a different photo. I would simply type in here, how to swap faces, see all results. And in this instance, it gives me a help article to which I can then watch this tutorial.
One of the most difficult things to do when you're photographing,
which is really awesome. 4-minute long clip right here in Photoshop. Depending on the how-to that you are looking up, you can also land on some step-by-step tutorials that Adobe would walk you through. For instance, let's say I want to learn how to replace the background. You can see right here, hands-on tutorials, how to remove and replace a photo background. You can simply start the tutorial. It loads all the assets, and you can step-by-step follow along with the information here. And Adobe teaches you the basics for some simple common tasks. Speaking of tools and how-tos, I just wanted to take a pause here and give a shout out to all those who may be just starting out with Photoshop or haven't even started out yet, and you're thinking of ways to make your creative process a little bit faster. Maybe you're getting a little bit lost as I quickly move through some of the transitions. Well, I use what is called hotkeys. It's just a quick keyboard command to do a simple process even faster. I've created a hotkey cheat sheet just for you, and you can find a link to that in the description. All right, number 6 is the possibility of version history. That's right, normally if you'd want to go back and do some other edits to something you've worked on before, you'd have to either deselect layers or do a save as and get like 3 or 4 documents. But check this out, with the power of Adobe Creative Cloud and Cloud Documents, we now have access to previous versions of our document. So let's say I'm working on this image and I think it's a little bit too bright, right? Throw a little adjustment on here. Bring down the brightness a little bit, maybe increase the contrast. Good. So now what I need to do is actually save this document to the cloud. Okay, I'm going to go up here to File, Save As, because this version history only works with cloud documents. Okay, so if you haven't enabled it already, I'm going to click down here to Save to Cloud and hit Save. Now let's say I wanted to go and add some more edits to this photo. Maybe I wanted it to look maybe a little bit more antique, so I wanted to drop down the saturation, make it like a black and white photo. Okay, I'm going to save again. We know that a document is saved to the cloud if you look right up here in the top left of your tab. And let's do one more edit just for kicks and giggles. I'm gonna not make it completely black and white and instead add a curves layer. Okay, play around with some edits here. Cool, very nice. And again, save the document. Now here, if you open up to the window menu and go all the way down to version history, you can see down here at the bottom the 3 different save states that we did. As you click each one, you'll get a little quick preview of your edit. So that was the first one with our little brightness contrast bump. Here's the second one with that black and white shift, and then our third one with those extra curves. What's great is that you can at any time revert back to any of these versions simply by clicking these ellipses and clicking revert to this version. Now let's say you actually want to keep multiple versions, because if you scroll all the way down here, you'll see here that versions expire after 30 days. Because they are saved in the cloud, no one has infinite server storage. After 30 days, all of these versions will be eliminated and you'll be stuck with just your original one. So let's say you want to keep one, like I like this black and white one. I'm going to click this little ribbon here. It marks it as saved. You can even give it a name. Since I've marked it, it's going to save longer than 30 days until I decide what I want to do with it. So I can easily go here revert back to this version. And there we have it, power of the cloud. All right, number 7 brings us to the capabilities of selecting or clipping out our subjects. I have spent countless hours trying to clip out subjects, and now Adobe has made it that much easier. Check it out. So first, if we go to our select and mask option here, there's an option to just select the subject. Adobe already does a pretty good job of selecting out my subject. I'm going to make this on white. Great. And you can see in just one simple click, it has already selected out my subject. Now, the bane of our existence has always been the curly or frizzy hair. But yet again, in the latest update, we have the capabilities of refining that with one button right up here. Refine the hair. Great. So much more detail captured and got rid of more of that fuzziness and the color that was seeping in from the background. But if you look over here off to the right hand side, I want to engage you in 2 different kinds of modes. Drop down this refine mode, and now there are 2 different ways that we can refine our subject. Either object aware or color aware. Now, color aware is more so like in this instance where someone is on like a solid or contrasty background. So I'm going to give that a click. Nice. It pulled in a little bit more details up here by the edges. And again, you can adjust it as needed with all of your refine tools down here. Let's take a look at our second option within that menu, and that was the object aware. So first, within our select and mask, we're going to select the subject. Wow, again, this is a really good selection based off of how complicated that background was. And that is a really good selection on that curly hair. So again, I'm going to refine the hair. Very nice. And again, you can see over here that object aware was the choice that Adobe made. It's going to try and choose for you off the gate, but again, you should try each option to see which works best in each photo. You can see here, if I switch to color aware, it actually turns out more terrible. Okay, and I think that's because in this particular photo, the background is of a similar color to her hair, so it gets a little bit confused. So again, object aware is when maybe the background is a little bit more complex and you need a little bit more extra refinement options. So that looks good to me. I would be satisfied with that edit. Thank you, Adobe, for making my life that much easier. All right, number 9 is more of a subtle addition, but it makes the process that much easier, right? We're all about making things a little bit smoother so we can focus more on the creative things. Okay, so we've heard of plugins, and some third-party companies will create something. In the past, you've had to download it from their website and then install it via their instructions. But now Adobe has made it that much easier to simply go up here to plugins and browse the plugins. And then you can search for whatever may float your boat. For instance, here are some free stock files. You just click Get, install it, and just like that, it is added right here into the plugins menu right there. Give it a click. It's already integrated. And of course, you'd have to enter your email address if you want to get all the full features. But the easiness of it is just what I love. Last but not least is the power of searching your brushes. If you head over to your brushes and select your brush, right down here where you would normally select your size, right here is a simple little search bar. So let's say I'm looking for lightning. Boom, there it is right there. Give it a click, edit like normal. Now I'm pretty sure that it's going to search your existing library. It's not like the infinite amount of brushes available to the web. But typically, Photoshop users will have like thousands of brushes, and if you name them correctly, it can be easier to find with just a simple search. Alright guys, that covers the top 10 most noteworthy changes I have found of Adobe's Photoshop 2021. Hey, if you don't have Photoshop yet, or if you're looking to update, check out the link in the description below. Also, let me know what your favorite feature was, or if I didn't cover one that you just absolutely love. I'd love to search it out and put it in a future video. Until next time, I'm Clint, and keep creating excellence.